Welcome back to another Aggborough Unfiltered. You're joining us here in the Harriers Arms, and you can probably hear some of the fans in the background. It's been one heck of a week since we last met, since we last talked. There have been 3, if not 4 games that we have attended and seen, and it has been absolutely bonkers, guys. A week of 2 halves, you could argue, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So us 3 travelled to Kings Lynn, and a good win there, good refereeing. Whereas I don't think anyone needs to remind what happened yesterday, but it was a pretty different story, weren't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all thinking maybe our moaning had fallen upon the right ears, and finally they'd given us an actual decent referee who had a pair of nuts, who was prepared to actually put himself on the line properly. Yeah. And then Saturday, it just seemed that they got some bloke off the park who...
But worse than that, I think got somebody from Macclesfield.
I mean, it was just... We'll get into that. That was dreadful. And we also... We went and investigated some of the women's football. You know, at the beginning of this podcast, we said this wasn't just going to be about the men and what's going on with our main Harriers team, but we were going to look at some of the other teams connected to us as well. So we took a Sunday afternoon trip over to Droitwich, and we went to see the women versus Notts County. What would you say about the quality of the refereeing there?
I thought that was, again, a bit interesting. I mean, I realise it's a lower level, effectively, but it was, again, interesting. There were some interesting decisions. It was a good game, though. Enjoyed that.
Great game, wasn't it? And so we'll get into that and we'll dissect that in a bit. And then finally, we also attended the Curry of Murray. There was about 60 of us upstairs, I found that just fascinating. Obviously, I've met him and know him. It was the first time you guys had kind of got close to him and heard from him. Many other fans. What was, just briefly, one sentence, what was your opinion of him, Liam?
Well, I think he's very, very down to earth. I think if you look, he did go through some of the stories, but he played with some top players. Whereas in that room, he didn't feel out of place. He was very open and honest, and he took loads and loads of questions.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he touched upon squad rotation. We're going to talk about that later on. But let's get into the dissection of the men's game over these last few games. We went to Kings Lynn with a difficult win that we'd achieved over Curzon. None of us actually attended it, but we all listened to it separately on the radio. Yeah. It was pretty stressful listening to it. And for those of you who made it, we've spoken to a few of you who would argue to us and say to us, game of 2 halves. First half was dreadful. Second half, we turned up and we did what we needed to do. And then we get ready and prepared for Kings Lynn. And why we chose to go to Kings Lynn and not Curzon, I don't know why, but it turned out to be a fantastic trip. It was just the best night. We set off here at 4:30, got there just before 7:30, walked in, and we saw Wes from the Kidderminster the Harriers fans podcast, and John as well. I just want to say thank you so much to those guys. We had a wonderful night. Yeah, it was a great night hanging out with them. But then we watched this game. Liam, tell me the first half. What was your feelings on that first half?
Well, I thought we played very well. I think what I was most impressed with was our back line. I don't think I've seen a defensive performance like that this season so far. Massive shout out to Pierce Bird, Joe Fulks, Alex Penny. Just in that first half, they didn't put a single foot wrong.
Yeah, and that's interesting, isn't it? Because Adam Murray talked about this a few weeks ago in his interviews. He said there's something not clicking. Yeah. They're not quite doing what I want them to. The togetherness that isn't there, and we could all see that. But on that Tuesday night, it almost felt like they were reading one another's minds. They were covering for one of Pierce Bird. You've mentioned I'm sure it was him who came in and just give this absolutely amazing backup tackle where Alex had missed it, and Pierce just covered him and covered his back. It was just phenomenal to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a great game. I really enjoyed. I got bullied by you two into going to that because, picked me up from school at 4:30, and off we went. I'm really glad I went because so far this season, by far the best performance we've given. Defensively, as Liam said, spot on. Obi, another one, very assured. Everything was pushed out. Towards the end of the game, we were taking it and we were still defending. Dibble made a save. Yeah. But generally, you can't. We won that game well.
We did. And you can see our first half commentary, I guess it is, or our first half analysis. There, we were actually there, so we filmed this there. So we're going to cut to that now. All right. So it's half time. We're here at Kings Lynn. We're 1-0 up. Stuart, what's your thoughts so far, first half?
I think it's the best first half of football I've seen all season from the Harriers. I think they've been solid.
Yeah.
They've gone forward. They've defended well.
That back line has just been unbelievable. Shout out to Pierce Bird. I think Obi's had a great game, but Pierce Bird has covered him at times. He covered Penny as well. Penny missed a tackle, and then he came in and just got it, didn't he? So,
and bar one or two moments, literally one or two, we've definitely dominated this game.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's hope it carries on.
What's been your opinions of Kings Lynn's hospitality and stuff like that so far?
Oh, I think it's a very welcoming place.
Yeah.
You enjoying the food?
Yeah, I mean, here we go. Look, we've got a little bit of pie watch going on here. Second pie of the evening, so I shall give that a go and review that in a bit. But actually, it's been a decent little ground, hasn't it?
It is a nice little ground.
It's not a bad journey up as well. So if you're thinking about doing an away day on a Tuesday, don't be put off by that.
3 hours on a Tuesday.
3 hours. It's been all right to do that. So second half, let's just have a quick chat. What are we going to do second half? Do you think there's going to be some changes early on, or would you stick with what we got?
I would stick with what we've got so far.
Yeah.
We've been having some discussion, haven't we, about how maybe Spokes might be struggling a bit against some of the pace. But I think keep it as it is and see where we're going. I mean, he's got a yellow card though, Spokes, hasn't he? So they've got to play that one well.
Yeah, we're carrying a couple of yellow cards into this second half. So we've also had Seb Thompson's had one as well for a cheeky elbow. But do you know what? To be fair to them, Seb's probably been a bit more missing in this first half, but he's taken one for the team in that sense. And I think, do you know what? It's been a real team effort in this first half. So that's our review, I guess, for this first half. We'll review.
So far, so good.
We will review post-match in McDonald's on the way home. That's what we will do. All right, cool. And as you can see, that we also had one of the samples of the food there. We enjoyed that. I didn't have too many stress pies. I only had two. One before the game, one during, and then we had a stress McDonald's on the way home about 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was so worth the game. I want to shout out, and I would want to know what some of your opinions on the refereeing performance. He was outstanding, that referee. Considering he was like giving us stuff that most referees in this league wouldn't have even dreamed of. Yeah. For instance, he gave a yellow card to one of their players for simulation.
Yeah.
I just thought, well done.
He was spot on.
Yeah, and he was right. He wasn't wrong about that. No. And he gave decisions against us that were correct.
Yeah.
And nobody could argue against that, and nobody could criticise him, I don't think, and say that he had a poor game. And I know that's easy to say when we've got 3 points.
Yeah.
Because we sit here often at the Aggborough slating the refs.
Well, you could hear the Kings Lynn fans. You know, they were doing what we do to the ref. You know, they were the things they were calling him, not very nice names, and singing about. But generally, I genuinely felt he managed that game well.
He did, yeah.
And probably the best referee I have seen in my short few years of supporting the Harriers at this sort of level. The best I've seen. We're going to talk about the worst in a bit.
We are going to get on to the worst because we have witnessed the best and the worst in the same week, and we'll get on to that, and many of you will know what we were about to talk about. Players that stood out for you, other than the defenders in that game, Liam, who were they?
I think there's strong performances across the board. Really. I think Morgan Smith again did a job. I know a lot of people expect him to score every game. I don't think that's going to be the sort of player he is this season.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I think out of our striking options, he's the one who's more likely to drop back, help the team out, and that was very evident yesterday and Tuesday, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's so prepared to put his body on the line, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
And hold that play up. He disrupts their teams often. He's so strong, and I think we don't appreciate how strong Morgan Smith is and what a job he's doing, because obviously he's a striker. We're going to judge him on his goals ultimately at the end, because that's his job. But I think there's so much more to the modern day striker nowadays than just. I was listening to Michael Owen the other day with Rio Ferdinand.
I've seen that.
Did you see that? And it was so interesting because Rio Ferdinand said, "Who would you compare yourself to now in the modern game?" He said, "Well, you can't." Because the modern day striker is totally different to what we had before. And actually, can you call them strikers anymore? Amari Morgan Smith, ultimately for me, and I'm sure you'll have opinion on this, is a classic number 9.
Well, it's what Adam Murray, not Andy, because he wasn't there.
I'm done. Sorry.
Adam Murray was saying the other night, wasn't it, about him that basically he said at the Curry for Murray thing that if we wanted to go and buy a player like Amari who can function like Amari, that he's perhaps younger, so you'd have to pay a lot of money for him in this league.
Yeah, you would
to get that player. So he is getting on for a footballer, and he's probably not as fast as he was. But I mean, like Saturday, he played the whole game, the whole 2 days worth of extra time that the ref put on as well. But he didn't stop.
No, he didn't. I think as well, Adam alluded to in his post Kings Lynn interview, he sort of said, look, actually 1-0 is a decent result after such an arduous journey that they had. It was like 4 or 5 hours it took them to get there. Now, I put my foot down and got there in 3, but they were on a bus, they were taking their time. So it's 4 or 5 hours on a coach. Now, most people go, oh, that isn't too bad, it's a nice coach. It is a nice coach, trust me, I've been on it. But it doesn't mean that you don't get tired, achy, stiff after a result of that. You're not talking Premier League level. We're talking a National League North level. And it's good quality, don't get me wrong, but the reality is it does have an effect on the body. And I think we could see that towards the end of the game. There was a lot more game management that Adam was having to do. Dibs with his dark arts. I mean, he took one for the team, took his yellow card for the team. I thought, I've got no complaints about that.
Well, the only thing I'd say about that, I agree. I have no complaints when they do that to see out time. On the way out of the game yesterday, the ref had put all this time on, and somebody was complaining to me about the amount of time that is taken up with players going down. That's why there's so much injury time, which leads to the other team having chances. But I think you have to do it sometimes. I think
and to be honest with you, he managed a lot of the time. He was going down towards the end in the Kings Lynn game. Was in those 10 minutes added time. That was a shocking amount of time that was added. There were a few injuries that occurred during the game, but I think Adam managed that so well. But I think I've heard a few fans saying, "Oh, well, why did they drop off towards the end of that?" Well, they were tired. It's a Tuesday night game. It's it's a long journey as well.
And I think he's trying to play football that he wants them to keep going for 90 minutes, give everything. And they're just getting tired, and that's what's going to happen.
That's right. So Kings Lynn got away those 3 points. It was probably the best 3-hour drive we had back ever. It was it's just so good. And I want to really encourage you, if you've never been to an away day, make sure you're booking to go to Telford away in the FA Cup. It's really worth it. It's only 40 minutes up the road. It's so much fun being in that away day atmosphere. A lot of us don't go in the North Stand. There's loads of you that do, and kudos to you guys. But I've got a young family, so often I'm sat in the East Stand or in the EBC. But it's like an opportunity for us to have a super North Stand when we go away. And it's so much fun. And people just connect. And again, shout out to the Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast. You really just made our night. It was really cool just hanging out with you guys and hearing your opinions. And And
I think, I don't know if any Kings Lynn people will watch it, but I have to say, great stadium. But also a great welcome from the staff, from the security, from the stewards. They were really welcoming. We had some
good banter with them, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And even the facilities, it looked from the outside like a portal, but actually the facilities were great for away fans. The food was great value as well, and it was really tasty. We've got a lot to learn because I think about our food and our facilities.
I agree.
And so that was Kings Lynn. Then we come back. We went for the curry with Murray, and should we talk about that first before we get into the game? Let's talk about that. So we went for the curry with Murray, and I wasn't sure what we were going to expect to have there. But I have to say, first of all, food. What would you rate your curry out of 10?
I'd give it an 8 at least.
8 and 9,
yeah, I'd give it an 8. It was decent, wasn't it? Really decent scran.
It was.
There was a raffle there. There was prizes. I walked away with one, which was decent.
First one out.
I was pleased with that. I don't know how that happened, but I did.
With your
there was
666 raffle ticket.
Yeah, it was my 666. Don't say that. But there was no fixing. I did get that, and so that was a great opportunity. 666. It's true. I did have 666. So I'm not on fire. Anyway, the Curry Murray was just a really enjoyable night. where he shared some stories about his life. Scott did a great job interviewing him.
Yeah.
And Adam did a great job of just being charismatically him. But then when it came to the fans' questions, I think it was John from the Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast asked this question about squad rotation, or someone said, "Are you getting close to your selection?" Now he said, "I've been close for ages because," and I thought it was a really interesting answer when he sort of said, "Well, actually, I decide per game."
Yeah.
What did you think to that?
Well, I've been, so I know with the guys I sit with, at the Leamington game, we were saying that we wanted a set 11. You want to know that your first team, effectively, you can almost expect this person, this person, this person, this person. But he kind of changed my mind because I now understand why he's not doing that. Using data, realising, this player is clearly, if we play him today from the start, there's a chance he'll tear a hamstring or something.
Yeah.
So I think realising that they're managing the players' welfare so that we get a whole season out of a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the game management of Adam Murray was absolutely so interesting to hear what he had to say. The idea of squad rotation, about why he didn't play certain players on certain pitches. So, for instance, Penny, he said he didn't play him when we went to Worksop because it was a 3G pitch, and he knew that potentially that if he played him and he got an injury, therefore he could be out for games that he knew that he was going to need to play him in.
Absolutely.
I also found it was so interesting when he talked about the idea that literally just before the Kings Lynn game, he changed his formation and what he was going to do. Yeah. That's how the day works. Yeah. Was there anything else that you drew out of that evening, Liam, that you found really fascinating and interesting?
Yeah, absolutely. I found what everything Adam was saying was fascinating, but at one point my phone was passed over to Richard Lane and he went into some great detail about what sort of things were happening this summer, the appointment process, which I thought was quite interesting because he said it was quite an easy process with Dean's Holes were sending over some applicants and Adam was the top choice from the start, and he's going into detail about plans for Cozy, etc. So he's clearly forward thinking. He's not afraid to put his money where his mouth is, and it was very clear that his heart's in the club.
Yeah, and he said something, didn't he? Because when he said this, my heart sank for about a second, and then it bounced back up because he explained what he meant. He said, "I'm 10% football, 90% business."
Yeah.
And he said something about Dean being 50-50, and there was Lee there, who's the CFO as well, and he said he's 50-50 as well, and he's really good with numbers. And then he said, but Adam is 90% football, 10% business, and he said, and that's why we've got this great team and synergy. And with teams, often you have to build. If you have all the same people, for example, if you think about a football team, if they were all the same player, you're never going to win. So what Richard Lane's saying is he's building a team of all different strengths and characters.
And also, it was said there, I felt that it's almost like a 2-year plan.
Yeah.
So we want promotion this season. They're saying that unequivocally. We love promotion, but if not, we go again next season.
Yeah.
And that gives me a good sense of, it's not all going to fall apart if we don't get promotion. I'm very hopeful that we'll get playoffs at least.
Yeah.
But I think they're building something.
Yeah, there's clear belief in Adam and what he's doing, the methods that he's doing, and the players that he's brought in. You don't bring 14 players in. Yeah. That's a lot. I don't think people will even recognise that number. 17 left, 14 came in. And when we think about that, that's a huge turnover. It's a whole new squad, a whole new backroom team.
Yeah.
And everything's just sort of changed. But I think the question was poised to Adam. In fact, I think it was me. What do you deem as success this year? Yeah. And he literally said promotion.
Yes.
He was like, I will get us promoted.
Yes.
That belief is excellent. And he alluded to something that I found really fascinating. And it's a shame that there was only 60 of us there. The fascinating thing he said was when he got promoted with Fylde, he knew that they were not ready for the National League.
Yes.
He told the chairman that, told them all that. They said, no, everything's fine. And then they came straight back down after it. And he left and they came straight back down. And Richard Lane almost alluded to the similar thing that happened when we got promoted into the National League last time. Yeah. And so I guess what that brings me is great comfort to know that someone who's gone up, gets it, and you've had a chairman who's gone up and gets it as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's brilliant. It's a good team. And I think we're in good hands, and that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. So then we move from the Curry Murray and we go on to Saturday's game against Macclesfield. And I think there was so much excitement, so much okay, we get what he's doing. We understand Adam a little bit more, understand his tactics, understand all this stuff. We get there and all of a sudden we're 1-0 up. Yeah. We're bouncing. Everything seems good. Yeah. The referee. Let's just talk about it. There's just the elephant in the room.
I think it was clear from the start. It wasn't going to be a good day in terms of the officiating. I always go to this, but it's really pet peeve of mine when you've got a linesman who's not making choices by himself and looking to referee. Then what is he doing there? But I think throughout the game, it's so inconsistent. Yes. Pulling of shirts. I mean, Morgan Smith.
I think he was consistent. He was just consistently rubbish.
Yeah, I think a few of the challenges against Morgan Smith could be deemed as assault in the eye of the law. But I think, and I'll let someone else go into the added time situation.
Well, what was interesting for me is I was sat directly behind the bench. So I was actually sat with Richard and with Dean, and those guys are sort of right behind the bench. I can hear what's going on, and when the 8 minutes gets put on the board, the groan behind me was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And but you can see them. Okay, there's game management. So Adam's game management was good at that point, and he's doing everything he needs to do. The players are doing what they need to do. You get to 98 minutes, and I watch the bench. They start getting up and going to the fourth official. When are you going to tell him to blow? When is he going to blow? When's he going to blow? Now, if I was on the East Stand, I would have been screaming from that point for about 3 minutes till I was purple.
We were.
There you go. Going,
I was hoarse, literally
blow. Because of wherever I was, I couldn't really do that. I was shouting, and then I realised that others were shouting as well behind me who were in the director's area, so they're shouting as well. When they got up to speak to the fourth official, he said 30 more seconds, because there's been someone who'd gone down. So 30 seconds. So 30 seconds plays out. They're still going. By this point, they're hounding him. He's pushing them back, going, no. For me, now, I don't want to accuse anybody of cheating, but it felt like the referee was playing until that ball went across that line, and then he blew that whistle.
I said, and I said this earlier in the match, it felt as though the referee wanted them to score. When we'd scored, and it felt as though the ref then, it's like we were given a couple of offsides that were like very dubious. Morgan Smith was not offside.
No, he was not. No,
clearly,
no,
he was onside, and they gave us. You think what's going on? I mean, in the first half, Joe, I think, was unlucky not to get a penalty. The player got his foot, and he went down. The ref didn't give him, and that sort of thing. It felt as though the ref wanted them to score a goal.
It was strange, wasn't it? It's almost like he wanted to be the centre of attention.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that additional time as well. I was watching the referee. Not once did he check his watch.
No, that was the annoying thing. You're shouting, ref, when you're going to blow, and he's not looking at his watch. He's not even checking.
And the linesman wasn't doing anything else. He wasn't bothered. No. But that fourth official for me, he should have been the one going, right, okay, ref, blow.
Yeah.
How that was allowed to happen?
Yeah,
it felt criminal. And then if there was a few people around me who just come up. It wasn't any of the directors, so I just want to say that. But there was people that I could hear, fans walking by, going, "That's match fixing."
Yes,
he was doing it. Yeah. And I don't know if it was or not. And listen, we're not accusing anybody of anything. We won't ever do that from this place. But you can understand why people felt like that.
And I also feel. It's like it's happened in England matches in the past when the referees had a shocker, Wayne Rooney got sent off and all that, and you realise, I've always said it, that a referee has the potential to cause problems for fans. So I'm not an aggressive person generally. Okay, at the end of that match, the things I was shouting to the ref don't normally come out of my mouth because I could not believe what I was saying. But you could imagine if the North Stand had emptied onto that pitch.
Oh, you watched, didn't you? All the security went round that ref and got him off.
I would have understood why.
I tell you, I
wouldn't have thought it's not a good. I'm not saying I think it's a good idea.
No, we're not inciting that.
But what I'm saying is the referee has the potential to cause problems.
I mean the venom coming from the fans in that space was just unbelievable, and you can see why they got him off. I have to say, and we're going to move on to the Notts County women's game in a minute because I don't want to dwell on this too much. And actually, they're closing behind as well, so we've got to be quick here. Yeah. That the players of Kidderminster Harriers did themselves proud yesterday.
I totally
I was
agree,
so
yeah.
proud of those
Totally
boys.
agree.
And I was leaning over the tunnel as they were coming out, and I was just shouting, "Well done! Keep your head held high. This is not the result you wanted. It's not about you. Keep going." I texted Morgs last night and I was like, "Listen, it's a long season. He played exceptional yesterday, and as did a lot of the others on that pitch."
It was good to see George Walker get the start. I thought he was great. Obviously went down with cramp a few times but he's not played. It was good to see him. He ran with that ball.
Has Adam come out and said, has anyone said anything what happened to Pearce? Because I was stood there next minute, I seen him getting limped off at half time. So I hope that's not too serious, because first half his throws were unbelievable, weren't they? They were really making
You said Thompson played, that came on, and I thought he was gone from the Kings Lynn match. He went off, holding his hammer.
Well, Amari did as well, he limped off. But,
yeah.
You know, and so I think the conditioning of our players, I've seen a couple of comments saying, people saying, oh, they're not conditioned well. They are doing really well.
I think so.
So listen, look, we may have had 2 points robbed from us, because I'm not going to say we dropped them, we had them robbed from us, but we're still in a good stead. We're unbeaten, and we move into the FA Cup after Telford got beat at the weekend. It puts us into a good stand with them.
Yes.
So we look forward to that. Any last thoughts, Liam, on that game?
Well, I think it's just worth noting, obviously Alex Penny went down, he came back on and had to be taken off, so hopefully it's not nothing too serious.
Yeah.
But it's probably the worst kind of picture it to happen to of his history, but
well,
hopefully.
I think, again, listen to Adam. He looks at data. He's got the right people around him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll know how to protect Penny and know what to do there. Let's touch upon the women's. We decided, we didn't go to Curzon Ashton. We decided to go to the women's game the next day at Droitwich against Notts County.
Yeah.
Let's just talk this through. It was £6 to get in if you pay on the door, £6 to get in. Kids were free. It was such good value for a day out of football for a family. So it cost me £12 to take my family of 5. And then we bought a couple of drinks there, and they were like £2, £1 each.
Yeah.
Whereas you're talking here, and they were exactly the same as what we'd get here.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, it's a different game, so we're not going to say it's a lower standard, because it's not. It's a different game. And I want to really say that the women played with their hearts. They played well.
It was really good. And I think they played a Notts County team who, I don't know if they're professional. I'm not sure. Someone said they might be. But you could see almost the difference. I don't know what it felt as though they were more of a professional outfit.
Yeah.
But our ladies took them on.
Oh.
And actually, I think, again, until the second half of the second half, were pretty dominant.
Yeah, I mean, talk to us about the ref's performance there. Was it any different to the men's game?
Well, it's shockingly poor again, but it's just annoying, because it can make or break a game, can't it? Poor officiating. And again, the inconsistency. I mean, and linesmen always trying to keep up with the game.
Yeah.
There's a couple of times where I think he flagged offside, but he's probably 10 yards behind the ball, so I'm not sure how he could see.
He was a large gentleman, wasn't he?
The pitch wasn't the best. It was very dry, very bumpy. The goal mouths were like
they were like
a sand
sand dunes were terrible.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing we have to remember. Our men are blessed with some of the best pitches. Aggborough is unbelievable.
And
the
Cozy
women
as well.
Yeah, and Cozy. The women are playing on some. Honestly, it's like a park where a dog might as well tramped over it. Now, I know that there's hopes and there's dreams to move the women to Cozy eventually.
Yeah.
There's reasons why they aren't there, and that's effectively because they legally can't be there to play a professional game at this moment in time. You're not allowed to do that because of stands and all this sort of stuff. But I think down the line, again, this is down to Richard Lane, to Paul and to Lee and those guys in the back who are making these plans to move the women there and create like a mini stadium. And I hope that does happen, because
I hope so.
For our women's sake, we had promotion last year and a cup win last year. Who's to say if we had top class facilities that we wouldn't shoot up those leagues? You know,
there were good performances all across that team, but the ones that stood out for me were Liv Woolston, number 7, quick, tricky, and
fierce,
scored the first
she
goal.
was fierce, wasn't she?
Yes, she was, and really good. And the captain, I can't remember her name.
Number 14, I can't think of her name.
Really good, tenacious, and led by example.
She's domineering as well in that team in a good way. You want your captain to domineer and to move them forward, and so. Yeah, it was great just to be there. I would say, I want to encourage you, if you're watching this, you've never been to a Harriers game, Harriers women's game, make sure you get to one this season. We were pretty much the additional fans to their family. And actually, you know, we all turn up for the Aggborough and we all turn up for the men, and rightly so, we don't want that to stop. But I want to encourage you, when there's no football on for the men or you can't get to an away game, why don't you just plan in your diary to go to Droitwich, go and see the girls? Honestly, you'll be surprised. It's a great day out. And there was dog watch. We got a couple of dogs on watch, didn't we? They were lovely, those little dogs, didn't they? So,
take your dog.
yeah, it was great. Yeah, take your dog, take your family. It was a really good day out. It was, it was excellent. Okay, so we've got the FA Cup coming up this weekend against Telford. What is our thoughts about that?
Well, I always enjoy going to Telford. It's been a shame we've not been in the same league for a few seasons now, but it's a great stadium to visit. It's up the road as well, so it's not too difficult. And where the away fans sit, I think quite nice because sort of like driving all to the tunnel, etc. So
yeah.
And the food's always been good there as well.
There we go.
So,
we'll give a review at that when we're there on Saturday.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say that I'm disappointed in, again, because I've got 3 kids, I could only buy 1 adult ticket and 1 under 12s ticket or something at a time. So that meant that I got 1 adult ticket for whatever price it was. I think it was 17 quid, and a kids for £1. I could only buy that once, so then I had to do a separate transaction for my wife and my other one. And then the third one, who is actually 4, I had to pay £7 for. So I was a bit disappointed by that, Telford. I felt like when you come to us, we are kids for £1, but I'm not going to let that spoil. And I believe that it will be, it should be an exciting moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited about that. And then
I think Adam wants a run in the cup, doesn't he?
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does. And then we've got a few home games coming up, which will be really exciting. So there's lots to shout about as a Harriers fan at this moment in time. We have got a interview. You're going to do an interview in a couple of weeks' time here in the Aggborough Arms, and so that's going to be really exciting. Somebody who's got a lot of history with the club, somebody who has been there, seen it, done it, and knows Adam quite well as well. So he'll have some stories to share. In fact, I was talking to Adam on the way out on Thursday, and I said, "Oh, we're interviewing such and such," and he said, "Oh, he's got a few stories to share. Some that he can share on the pod, some that he definitely can't." So we'll try and get some stories out of him. Hopefully, he'll bring some shirts in, some memorabilia and stuff like that, and we can go through that. That'll be exciting. And then we'll obviously be reviewing the games as we go forward as well. If you haven't liked, if you haven't subscribed, and you haven't shared, please make sure you do, because that helps us move the podcast on. We have mentioned the Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast. Go and check those guys out as well. They're doing a great job there. There's so much, I think, Liam, would you agree, there's so much to be excited about at this moment in time as a Harriers fan?
Yeah, I was actually having this conversation with a guy sat at my table at Curzon, and shout out to him because he does watch us. He was saying it's quite exciting times. There's never been so much content for the club.
Yeah.
They've got 2 podcasts. You've got a media team at the Harriers who are doing amazing things.
Yeah.
It feels like something's growing.
And there's community stuff happening as well out in the community. The women's team's growing. The academy has boomed in this last few weeks. So it's the best time to be a Harriers fans. We are on the up. Ignore Saturday's result because we got robbed. But look at the performance. The performance was men who went on that pitch and wanted to win, and that's what we want. So nothing else to say, boys, is there? Except up the Reds.
Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.